Hello, everybody. Welcome back to NSE Summer League. The UK Splatoon University League is coming at you live. We are about to get on week 3 of this bad boy. We're bringing you some of the best UK collegiate teams straight to your doorstep here on Dapple Productions. How are we doing today?
I am doing good. How are you doing?
Doing good. I'm excited to be back on the mic here for Dapples. It's been quite some time since I've been able to do casting for this specific tournament organization. We're going to be coming at you with round 1 here in just a second. We've got the Solent Cardinals versus Uwawa alumni. Uwawa alumni? If I butcher that, I'm so sorry.
It's called Wawa alumni.
Ah,
Yeah, cause it's honestly that's so real though, because some of the names can be confusing. Cause I have messed up a lot of them.
holy moly. Do my eyes deceive me, or am I seeing a Dowser Doolies on the field right now? We're going to be starting off with our usual Turf War best of 3, starting off on a clean, quick Mahi resort map here. But, like, Dowsers, I was not expecting to see in competitive play just as a baseline, but I also want to point out we've got a Reflux on this side of the alumni as well.
But you'll always see weapons you'll never expect to see in competitive. Like, sometimes you'll not every day see a tent umbrella.
Yeah, just some really interesting weapon picks, but it seems like it's doing really good here for the Cardinals. Moving forward, painting over a lot of that pink ink, and they're going to start trying to move forward into that spawn area, but that undercover umbrella is making sure that they do not get that opportunity to lock the alumni out, and we see we're back to sort of like this back and forth bloodshed in mid.
Oh, that chase. You'll definitely see. Turf War is like a really intense when it can be, especially in mid zones when they're all scrunched up together. You will see most egregious bloodbath known to man.
Yeah, no, and with the fact that you don't really have an objective to play around other than paint, you see a lot more plays that would be unideal for more competitive play. Now, we see the water level is going to be dropping. There are 90 seconds left on the clock now, and some really good picks are happening, and unfortunately, as is the case with Mahi Resort, we do get a really nice water clip.
I was seeing this a lot when I was playing it for Tricolor in Splatfest. The water bloodbath. If you didn't die by the hands of someone else, you died by water.
Yeah, I mean, it's par 4 the course on Mahi Resort. We see the last minute left on the clock, and the Cardinals are moving forward, painting that beautiful lime green all over the resort here. It looks like the alumni are in that danger area, but as is the case with Turf War, this could change within the last 30 seconds, but with Flow Aura activated, we just see, like, incredible gameplay from that Zap moving forward, diving through that ink, just throwing chickens like nobody's business here.
Yes, definitely. If you are not careful, definitely some chickens can get you. Chickens are dangerous, be careful.
Yeah, no, I can't even count the amount of times I have unfortunately died to a chicken here. We do end up having that heavy go down, but there's only a couple of seconds left on the clock. It's not looking good for Alumni to take over, especially with that 3 down, moving into that game hover screen, and the results really speak for themselves here. That map is that beautiful shade of lime green, giving that first win of this best of 3 Turf War to the Cardinals.
Yeah. They were very push heavy. But Alumni did put up some good resistance to them.
They had a really solid grip of it, of that mid area in the first like couple of minutes of the match, I feel like, and then they slowly started to slip as they staggered more and more towards the Cardinals. But honestly, kudos for them for not getting locked out of their zone at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is one of the things that you really have to worry about on Mahi Mahi Resort is getting locked out of the mid area by being just enclosed in your spawn space. And while they did have a couple of breakout specials to maybe get back into mid,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the time it was just kind of too little too late for them. And we do have our counter pick map. The alumni have decided to go with Robo Ramen for their turf war here.
Oh, that is a common map I've seen. Especially on Splat Zones, Robo Ramen is definitely a common map I see for counter picks like this.
It's a common map, but it's common for a reason. I actually quite enjoy it as somebody who plays like
Mm-hmm.
as somebody who plays like the dualies religiously. Sorry, let me move back into frame here.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, I'm like weirdly on the right side of my video screen here. I love ramen not only for its versatility, but for also the under mid areas. There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of space that you can take down there. There's a lot of ways that you can set up sneak attacks, and that's what I really love about playing on ramen. And I probably haven't personally played it in Turf War. I assume it's going to be sort of the same, you know, like going as per Splat Zones, where you just move forward, try and take the elbow, because that elbow can be super vicious if you don't take it good enough, and
Mm-hmm.
then hide underneath mid in the tunnels areas to just make sure that the other team does not get any sort of modicum of control.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. With the underpassage, it's like a sharker's heaven.
Sorry,
'Cause
my
they
nose is
can,
itchy.
no, it's fine. Because they can just have really good sneak attacks if you aren't paying attention to the lower mid area.
Yeah, absolutely. The amount of times that I've seen like more of the shark heavy weapons, like say like a stray carbon roller hiding
Mhm.
underneath that little area and then just jumping out and getting like a surprise double. If I had a nickel, I'd be rich.
Definitely. You That has happened to me a lot.
Absolutely. I've definitely been the victim of several of those plays. I'm excited to see what these two teams are going to be bringing for us here. We'll see in a second, though, if we see any comp switches. I'm not really expecting much, and I am proven wrong. We are going to be seeing the use of a squeezer in Robo Ramen alongside, I believe, a swap. For the vanilla roller, which is going to be huge here on elbow.
Yeah. Definitely you don't also see a squeezer every day in competitive. It's still good to see people choosing to play different weapons that you won't commonly see.
Oof.
It looks like Alumni has a really huge push on Cardinals right now.
Yeah, that reef slider in those tight spaces has gotta be rough. Again, the elbow is just the key point of play here. And like you said, we don't really see Squeezer all that much, but I'm honestly kind of glad to see that people are using it now. Just because, like, it reminds me of, like, my first little baby days of competitive, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You'll find some sense of nostalgia when you first start playing competitive, and you'll see some weapons that you used to play, and it gives you like a little memory to when you first started.
Mm-hmm. Now, two are going to be going down here on the Cardinals as the alumni just move forward again, trying to make sure that that area around the elbow is covered blue is going to be huge for them, because not only do they have the bubble on their side, but they also have the reef slider in the form of the undercover umbrella. Now, the undercover does end up going down around that elbow area, which is not going to be good because they are going to be down a special as the chumps start to go out and the Cardinals make that counterplay.
Cardinals have a really good push on them right now, but Alumni is being really good at keeping them out, and you see that aura grab right there.
Absolutely. Now, less than a minute left on the clock now, and it's really kind of in everyone's favor, I say, as the Cardinals dip into danger for the first time in that, in this entire match now, as the Alumni are, sorry, my bad. The Cardinals dip back into danger after a fight in that mid. 2 down on the Cardinals now, 2 down on Alumni as well, but Alumni are moving forward with the bubble at their side, at their jump point, taking forward with that elbow. We see those Dowser Dualies come in behind, and they are smashed by the roller, which has gotta feel rough now. The Cardinals on the back foot and just, phenomenal.
There have been some really good plays by Alumni here, and this is shaping up to be the first tiebreaker, at least that I have seen so far. And oh, that's just straight aura grab from their splatter shot.
Oh yeah, that's definitely blue.
Yeah.
Woof. With the Alumni taking that second match of the Turf War Best of 3, that means the counter pick is going to be going back over to the Cardinals, which I'm really excited to see what they end up counter picking here for the just the list of our little maps here. But like you said, I did see quite a lot of really good plays from the Alumni here. They were really utilizing not only the bubble, but also that reef slider to their advantage in those really tight Robo Ramen corners, and that elbow just like really solidly showing that you don't want to be in close proximity to any of them when they go off, you know?
Yeah, definitely utilizing Reef Slider in really tight spaces, especially on Robo Ramen, that can prove to make really good plays, as if someone gets trapped, you can pop the Reef Slider on them and they won't have really any chance of escaping, so you're essentially getting a pick off and you can push up if there isn't anyone else nearby.
Yeah, no, and it's rough going into like a 1v2 on Ramen because like you said, there's a lot of really tight corners. There's a lot of damage that an AoE attack like the Reef Slider can do, and it's looking like we are going to be having our counter pick. We're going to the airport.
Oh, where are we traveling?
We're going to the airport. Who knows where we're traveling next, but Marlin Airport is going to be our counter pick for our Turf War tiebreaker. So, as I was saying earlier, Marlin Airport's definitely a map that exists in the wider Splatoon 3 sphere. I personally haven't played on it as much as I probably should be playing on it, mainly because I am a salmon run enthusiast. It's like, all of this like turf war competitive stuff, and it's like, nah, I'm over here fishing.
I'm gonna say definitely Marlin is kind of a map I see sometimes more on tower control. Sometimes I sometimes see it on tower control. I sometimes also see it on Clam Blitz. But it is also nice to see it on Turf War, considering the platforms that move around with ink. Because you can just evade people by using those platforms against them and or tripping them up to make them fall.
Yeah, no, I've definitely been on the butt end of the stick of the whole Marlin Airport juking you with the platforms fall into the void thing. So,
yeah.
Excited to see if we're going to be getting any of that. Now, I'm not sure what to expect here for these, weapon comps that we might see. I don't know if the bubble Reef Slider combo is really going to be good here. And
Ooh.
whoa,
Saw a
whoa,
nozzle. Looks like we're
intriguing.
gonna, yeah. Instant intensive missiles. That's gonna be. Oh, and they have Dapple dualies. I've just seen that.
Well, I hope the alumni are ready for a whole lot of dodging on a wide open air map like this. Those Tenta missiles are going to be rough, and like you said, the Dapple dualies coming out is insane. We're going to be seeing. Oh, that was a really good Reef Slider like gap jump there.
Yeah. Looks like their Hydra is painting for right now, but here comes that reset. Ooh,
Oof.
that reflux pick.
And it's looking like the alumni are in danger and being pushed all the way back to their platform here. Now, Marlin Airport is one of those maps where I feel like it's not that easy to get locked out unless the opposing team is right at your doorstep here. We see Star Yoshi with that Inkjet just really cleaning up on that left side there, threatening the rest of the team while Wither moves in with those Dapple Dualies to try and get a pick on that roller, and the pick on the roller does end up coming true.
That pick from the Dapple dualies into that bubble was good. But yes, like you did say. And ooh, we have an aura grab as we can hear from the Dapple dualies. My dog is crying, so I shall feed her a tater tot. Don't bite my fingers off. Eat the fingers.
Cute. I love Animal. Yeah. Ooh.
She was feeling sad, so I gave her a tater tot. Ooh, those.
I just saw that
Zuka
like up
play.
close and personal. Yeah, the Zuka play was just absolutely insane there. Now, it's not enough to pull Alumni out of danger yet, and with that wipeout, it's not looking good. Spookster just with the Reflux doing as Reflux does, painting the absolute heck out of everything here. They've got those missiles in the back pocket, but not a chance to use them before they do end up going down. Means those game-ending missiles are going to be wasted here, and we're just going to be moving forward. It's looking like maybe Alumni is going to try and make a push here. Last 30-second remaining push to go down on the Cardinals as the Alumni move forward with all of the paint that they have in their hearts to try and get something to work.
That was.
Oh.
Their wipeout. They had a what really looked like a promising push to them, but with that wipeout, yeah, Cardinals is just gonna take it back and push them into danger again.
Ugh. Man, I was really hoping we'd get like that last second, like now or never turnaround that you tend to see quite often here in Turf Wars, but like it was just kind of too little too late. I feel like they didn't really capitalize off of any of the picks on the Cardinals that they had gotten in that moment. It just felt like they kind of held back a little bit too much there, you know?
Definitely. They were holding back at a few points, which did kind of lead to a few downfall points for them in the match.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree there. It was just kind of unfortunate that it ended up like that, because I saw the gears turning in their head. I saw it click that they had to move forward and get that just situation underneath their control here, but just you really hate to see it. Like, the last 30 seconds of a Turf War map, they say, are the most important 30 seconds of a Turf War game. And it's really just goes to show, like, how quickly the tides can change here on Turf War. Because 1 minute you are just, like, doing so awful, and then you get, like, a miracle double, and then your team is suddenly, like, winning. And that's what I felt like that the Alumni were trying to go for there in that last possible second, but unfortunately, they just weren't able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, definitely. Their Robo Ramen match was definitely like so different from how they were in Mahi when they got pushed out and they pushed back, and when they got into Robo Ramen they pushed back harder than they had in Mahi, and then they did have a promising push, but when they got picked off, like by, I think it was, who was it? I forgot who picked them off, but when they got those 2 wipeouts, it definitely like had a shift. Because wipeouts can mess you up a lot.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Now, our Clam Blitz pick has been revealed, and we are going to be going into Barnacle and Dime Clam Blitz. Dare I say, one of the bread and butter stages of the current Splatoon 3 tournament meta. It's volatile, it's fast-paced, it's in the middle of the fountain, so we're probably going to see plenty of water deaths. Not as many as Mahi Resort tends to give, but I dare say a few. And recently, with the rework that this map had, it's become just even bigger and better than before.
Yes, it has. I gave you 2 tater tots. What more do you want?
Her greed knows no bounds.
It doesn't.
This is the kind of greed they talk about in the Bible or whatever.
It is. It is. I gave you 2 tater tots. What's the matter?
See, now I'm starting to think we're going to be maybe going into the like actual proper weapon comps, maybe. Because I'm not sure how I feel about somebody bringing okay. You know what? Everything is fine. Let's bring it. I was expecting the ink brush. I was not expecting the nozzle nose.
Oh my gosh. And they did bring out End Parry dualies, so
yay! End parries! That's one of my mains, baby! Love to see it.
And Alumni is also, ooh, that wipeout.
Oof.
And I was gonna say, Alumni bringing out that Tri-Slosher, and then I just saw that wipeout, and I just got so, like, distracted by it. And oh, my cat has woken up.
Oh my goodness, a baby. See, I was really not expecting that bucket pick from Alumni, but I can definitely see it working here. We see it just on that stack, just really trying to hold ground. Unfortunately, they do end up going down, and I did just hear that Flow Aura activate on the side of Cardinals. Cardinals is going to be moving up, gathering clams like nobody's business. Wither coming in with that triple splashdown does end up getting 2 picks here on that platform area. Spookster with that brush has control of the power clam, and now all they need to do is just find an opening to go in. There are a total of 2 power clams at the ready here as the Cardinals end up breaking their barrier and just easily sailing that second power clam into the basket.
That push was very, like, you wouldn't expect to see it if you think Alumni had the advantage on them.
Ooh, I would hate to be Alumni right now, getting into that death pit only to get down to that triple splashdown. That's gotta be rough here. Now Cardinals gonna be moving forward. They have to get far enough away for the basket in order for it to go back down, but oh man.
The water.
I really hate to be right, but like
the water pit of doom. Oh, that double.
Yeah, super duper solid picks here coming from coming from the Cardinals, moving in Spookster with the power clam yet again. I mean, I wasn't really sure what I was expecting considering they're playing an Ink Rush and all, but with the Sippies active, we're about to cake that power clam to 200%, moving forward, just chucking it in like nobody's business, and it's looking like Yoshi does get a really solid pick moving forward, and the clams start coming, and they are not stopping.
Yes, definitely. Cardinals have had a push, have been really push heavy, and it looks like they do have another power clam up and ready.
Yeah, the alumni just really not able to get even a foot in the door here. They've got pity clams out the wazoo, but no space or basket anywhere nearby to use them here, as the Cardinals just in a really solid lead, 31-100 here. We do see that the alumni are trying to move into that middle area. Spookster does go down to a really solid bomb throw as we see the alumni finally break through the solid blue defensive wall and move into mid after almost 4 minutes of gameplay.
Definitely really good bomb picks can also change some things. But it looks like the alumni is fighting back, trying to pick off that nozzle with the power clam, but they do get picked off by the triple splashdown.
Yeah, they're really in a tough spot. They'd have to pull off a miracle in order to get this thing going in their favor. And with Spookster moving forward with that stamp and 2 power clams behind them on the Cardinals, it's just really looking like it might be game over. We're already down to 2 clams remaining. Only 1 clam needs to go to the basket to get that KO, and it does end up knocking alumni out of this game. 100-0, solid, super duper knockout from the Cardinals. You really gotta be hating to be alumni in this situation here.
Yeah, definitely do. We did have some really good opportunities to try and push back, and that Perry probably must have did feel a little bit distraught with that roll off the map into the pit of doom called water.
As somebody who plays dualies, yeah, I'm usually distraught when that happens.
Yes, but you do
Oh.
usually have to call it when you're doing these. You're just gonna be like, the water's gonna get someone.
The water death of shame.
Yes.
But overall, really solid match from the Cardinals here. Just really kind of strutting their stuff, honestly. Just all in all, really solid. Good stuff all around. I was kind of scared there for a second that the Cardinals would be going down when the alumni decided that it was their time to shine. We do have our counter pick. We're going to another, dare I say, bread and butter map of the Splatoon community. It's going to be Hagglefish Tower Control.
Definitely you do see Hagglefish on Tower Control commonly. As from a LAN, the local LAN that I told you I've been to, they do definitely put Hagglefish on Tower Control a lot.
I mean, it's a good competitive map mode. Like, it's got everything. It's got a chance to lock out. You've got really nice checkpoint placements, unlike certain other competitive tower control maps. Cough cough, or cough cough undertow spillway. Cough cough undertow spillway for the consolation checkpoint in the beginning of the game there. But I can definitely see this working a lot in Alumni's favor, especially if they're going to try and keep up with the like bubble sort of gameplay that they were trying to do when we saw them playing on Ramen, because you can get away with bubble a lot more in tower control than you can in with clam blitz, and it's especially good to have like on Hagglefish because of the canopy.
You're staring at me. Go to bed. Go to sleep.
And definitely, you can also get away with some side picks, and it looks like they changed up their dualies to the Sparkle dualies.
Now, I did say that bubble was good for tower control, but I wasn't expecting the dualies to swap to the bubble.
Definitely, as someone who plays, well, as someone who does play Splattershot Junior with the bubbles, definitely having a bubbler is good for tower control, especially because if you place it at a really right timing, if you have your, say, your backliner on the tower, if you get on with them and just place it down for them, you have a guaranteed protection for them, and you can push up the tower so they don't have to worry about not being out in the open for a free pick.
We do see that Spookster is going to be staying on that brush. Does end up getting a really nice solid double here. Star Yoshi is going to be moving forward, trying to paint up as much as they can on that left side. They do have the Inkjet in their pocket now. Sippies are active for the Cardinals, but the Alumni here are in the lead. But maybe not quite for long. It's looking like the Cardinals are going to try and make a push here soon, as they do end up taking the tower and bubbling maybe a little bit too early. They really wanted to save that bubble until underneath canopy.
Definitely. Bubbles, especially on tower control, can be definitely, you'd have to have time, have right timing for it. Hello, Kitty, do you want... I feel you're here for the chicken nugget that is in here.
Now we do see that two of the members of Cardinals do end up going down here. The Alumni moving forward underneath that canopy to try and keep the Cardinals out. It is a 2-point lead differential here, 60 to 58 now. Moving forward, Wither on those dualies, just really strutting their stuff, trying to get that bubble back up. Does end up getting a really nice trade here. Warmess with those strikes in the back pocket on that T-Tech are going to be throwing them out, and they do get a wipeout onto the Cardinals now. Alumni moving forward to try and get that second checkpoint underneath their control now. Wither does end up going down to a really nice ledge play from that roller, and Warmess doing exactly what they should be doing, moving into that canopy area to try and keep the picks going. They are at checkpoint 2 now. We're gonna maybe try and see it broken.
Ooh, that Booyah Bomb play. Definitely. I love how my animals spawned back. Because my dog wants more tater tots. And my cat spawns for chicken.
Now we did see a really solid 3 down from Cardinals there, pushing forward, and we do see that we have a 30-point lead differential now with Alumni in the lead. They do end up going 3 down. That is a delayed wipeout on Alumni now as the Cardinals take control of that below spawn area, looking like they're gonna maybe try and bubble right up where they should be. We see that bubble. Oh no, it's the tiny bubble. You really gotta hate that really bad bubble placement.
Yeah. Definitely. Really bad bubble placements can indefinitely crush the soul. Yes, that really bad bubble placements, that has happened to me. Would have a lot of nickels for amount of times that has happened to me on not only Turf War, but also Power Control, and they do get a wipeout on Alumni.
Yeah, Alumni there just staggered a little bit there, moving into that tower to try and get it. Too little too late. An absolute bloodbath, and Wither takes the tower and just rides it all the way the rest to victory while tower dancing on it at the same time. incredible gameplay there from the Cardinals. Just what a turnaround. They were really on the back foot during that first half of the match now, and they managed to not only take the tower, move it forward, get underneath that canopy, but start a stagger that did not stop.
Definitely. And while I was trying to focus on the game, my dog still wants tater tots.
Oh, you had 4 now.
She's greedy.
Let's take a look at the replay here. We can see that just really super solid like start of the stagger right here when those sippies are active, when we see the Cardinals moving forward onto that checkpoint to just trying to make sure that the rest of alumni just really cannot get up in there. And with that wipeout, it's just, I feel like that is really what spelled the game's ending there, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. That delayed wipe can also cause some things, and I did just pick up my dog, so she kind of just flashed by on the camera.
So with a solid 3-0, the Cardinals have taken this round underneath their wing, you could say. But we are going to be waiting on the next match to be called out to us here. Congrats to the Cardinals for really solid sweep. Just did like a great job, while the alumni, I feel like, really could have had it. What happened there was just unfortunate. Sometimes you just start getting staggered and you can't really find a way out of it, and it's really, really apparent on like such a volatile map mode that tower control on Hagglefish is, honestly.
Hey, be careful with my pillow. Why are you stepping on my bed? Dog. Are you being evil?
So we're just waiting now for our next match to get started here. So let's
She's hovering for the
and
chicken
take
nugget.
a break now and wait for the next match to be called. We'll be right back.
never felt like I never felt like baby, still with me. You gotta tell now. I never felt like I never felt like baby, still with me. You gotta tell now. I never felt like I never felt like baby, still with me. You gotta tell now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to NSE Summer 2026. We are coming back at you with round 2 of our Groups Week 3 Swiss bracket here. Gonna be hitting you guys up with UCL Splatoon versus, oh my gosh, KU Blood Spatter, which is honestly quite the funniest name that I have heard in like a Splatoon competitive setting in some time. Like, what do you mean you're naming your team Blood Spatter? Inklings don't have blood. But I'm excited to see. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. You can continue talking.
Okay. I'm definitely excited to see what these two teams are going to be giving to us during this next round. We're going to be starting off with Ship-Shape Turf War to kick off our counter pick Turf War best of 3 game 1-ish.
Definitely with Ship-Shape, you do again have to beware of the wretched water.
See, I feel like I haven't seen as many people roll off into the water on Ship-Shape as it is on like Barnacle and Dime or Mahi.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more uncommon maps, like, that could happen on.
I definitely feel like I see Ship-Shape a lot with zones and towers specifically in a competitive setting. More so tower than zones from what I have experienced. But it's gonna be nice to see some like good old-fashioned turf war for this first game here. And with these first like couple of matches here on turf war, we'll really get to see these two teams like not only duke it out, but just learn around each other's play styles and weapon comps, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, definitely you can learn a lot before starting, like, especially with this, like, having them start out on turf war, it gives them like a little bit to learn. So they can counter when it comes into the ranked matches aspect.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's nice to give the teams like a little bit of breathing room to figure out like what they're going to be bringing like to the, like you said, the more like competitive anarchy modes. But like we saw in the first round of this week, we can see a lot of really strange picks for weapon choices in turf war, since it is essentially I wouldn't say it's an objectiveless mode per se, but the objective to just paint as much ground as possible really opens up the possibility for more of the like less meta weapons to play around, which I'm really fond of because I like seeing what people are going to be bringing for the table when they're not like actively competing or like actively in that like crunch, like I have to like make sure I'm doing the meta stuff like mindset.
Definitely. It can. Turf war for NSE is like definitely, it kind of feels like at least a little bit of a little warm up to them, to like they know like what comps work, what they can switch out and change. And it definitely can also, if some aren't good on certain maps, they can have a little practice in case it does get picked as like a counter to them, like a counter pick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the I feel like the whole point of like the pick counter pick system, like as we use it today, is to just ensure that both of these teams like get a sort of fair fight on equal grounds. Because if one team is just consistently smoking the other, like, to no avail, then having them play on a maybe lesser known map or a counterpicked mode is definitely going to be helping. Now, let's take a look and see what we have these two teams bringing to the table. Now, I do see some Dapple Doolies on the side of KU Spatter alongside the actually both of these teams are going to be bringing in the Tacticooler Dapples, which is going to be interesting.
Mhm. I'm gonna say, and KU Spatter has double dualies with not only cooler dualies, but also splashdown dualies. And it
Yeah,
looks like,
no. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
UCL having two kind of backline weapons. It's definitely gonna be a little interesting to see how this plays out. The two backliner weapons.
Yeah, I'm definitely expecting to see the mini Splatling on UCL move forward and be just in that generalized mid area here. We do see 3 down now on UCL Splatoon as KU Spatter moves forward into that spawn area. Now, I feel like this map is one of those where you can easily get locked out into your spawn if you are not careful, and especially more so on like the base map as it is, as opposed to like say any of the alternatives for, like I said, like a zones or a tower map.
Hmm. And like you said, it is very easy to get locked out into your spawn. But it looks like UCL has kind of a really good pushback on them, as you see that Ultrasamp is chasing people down to get picks off.
Yeah, KU Spatter does end up going 3 down in the moment there, which means that we're going to be going into that danger area. Less than a minute left on the clock now as we are moving forward. That Wiper does end up trading off with the end parries, which is going to be huge for UCL Splatoon to maybe keep control of that area and prevent the rest of the map from becoming that shade of teal in the KU Spatter colors. Now, we do see the missiles are going to be coming out. They do end up not really doing much here. 30 seconds left on the clock now as UCL Splatoon goes 2 down, but KU Spatter doesn't seem to be taking advantage of any of these picks. They're really just kind of dawdling over by that mid area.
Mm-hmm. And definitely, like, sometimes with Tenta missiles, it can be good to try and get picks off, but it can also be like, also kind of like a scare tactics to push the team away, essentially, so you're forcing them into like a little bit of a tight corner. Ooh, it looks like KU Spatter took it back right at the last second.
Yeah, no, KU Spatter turned the match around and was able to get a really solid win off of UCL here. Not really what I was expecting, considering that KU Spatter had been on the back foot for most of that game, but definitely a welcome change nevertheless from what we've been seeing here. And now UCL Splatoon has to counterpick their specific map, and this is really where it starts getting interesting because you probably are going to pick a map that your team is most familiar with, that you've played on time and time again, to try and keep KU Spatter from being able to win this next one.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. They can. It also depends on what they pick, because if they do pick a map that plays in their favor, they can also change their comp depending on how they played that map.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, because the thing about like the counterpicking is that you want to be able to pick a map that is going to work out in your favor while also potentially locking out the opposing team from doing such. Now, taking a look at our turf war list of maps we are able to pick, we've got Mahi Mahi, Wahoo World, Humpback, Shipshape, Robo Ramen, and Marlin Airport. Now, we did see I believe we did see Marlin Robo, Ramen, and Mahi Mahi Resort last
Mhm.
round that we were playing, which means that we might be able to see something completely different. I do want to see if Wahoo World does end up making an appearance, as it is
Mhm.
um what not my favorite, but one of my favorite maps, just because of the pure like silliness of it all.
Mhm. Definitely. Wahoo is definitely one of the more kind of like iffy silly it is, and it looks like we're gonna be seeing Mahi.
Another swap back onto Mahi Mahi Resort for our next Turf Wars match here. Now, the changing architecture of this map really is going to be interesting depending on what these two teams are going to be bringing to the table. I don't know if we're going to be seeing any sort of comp switches. I don't know if these two teams are playing with their original comps at all, but maybe we might see some, maybe we won't. That's the beauty of Turf War, is that you can basically just do whatever and have it be fine so long as your team coordination is good enough.
Definitely, that can, because if you do have good coordination without having to change comps, that can also play a really significant part in how your matches go.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I want to see different comps, but it's more of like a jack of all trades, master of none situation here, where if you do have like so many weapons and so many different options to pick from, like maybe as like a flex, then you need to be aware that your team also has to play around you in a sense, where your team's playstyle might be completely different from one day to the next depending on what weapon you pick. So while on the one hand it is good to have several different weapons in your roster, it's also good to not have too many, just to make sure that you and your team can thrive in the most ideal environments.
Definitely. That, like, having too many playing too many weapons can also kind of compromise some things, because you sometimes have to try and figure out how to play with everyone well and make sure you have right comps for each weapon.
And like with the playing of different, like so many different weapons, it's also good to keep in mind that you probably will have to change your mindset per weapon depending on whether you play different classes or not, because each weapon plays differently. I'm really excited to see what these two teams are going to be bringing here. Now, we do see not really much of a change, but I do want to point out we have swapped to the custom dually squelchers alongside the heavy edit. They are going double or nothing, double cooler over on UCL Splatoon.
Yeah. It looks like UCL did change up their comp from what we saw the first game, because they pulled out dually squelchers, the NZAP, heavy edit, and custom blaster.
Yeah, the NZAP and the heavy edit is going to be where those double sippies are going to be coming from now. KU Splatter moving into that forward position here. The missiles in the back pocket do end up going down, as we can see that KU Splatter is in kind of a rough situation here. That zap is just going absolutely crazy. Does end up getting not only the sippies, but flow aura active as the Tenta missiles rain down from above and do end up getting them out now. We can see we're just doing a really, really kind of big bloodbath moves here in mid.
Definitely, and as he ends up did unfortunately lose a little battle they had with their... It looks like the heavy edit is definitely fighting with their spot link and wins that battle. Now looking to get some picks while also throwing sippies.
And with that, it's looking like KU Spatter is on the back end here now, as we do see two end up going down, and most of the ground is painted in that beautiful shade of green. Now, as we hit that 90-minute mark, we are going to see that architecture change as the water level begins to drop, opening up a plethora of new opportunities to ink the ground in front of them and move forward into bases untethered. Now, we do see those dualies do end up going down from the blaster, I believe, here, as UCL Splatoon is holding their ground like nobody's business.
Definitely, that blaster pick was really good to get that dualies out. And it looks like the heavy edit is just going absolutely ballistic on those kills. getting a double and grabbing some aura in the process.
Yeah, and less than a minute left on the match now. As we can see, those two long-range weapons are going to be placed in a perfect little pincer position here to end up going down on KU Splatter yet again, as UCL Splatoon has lost their heavy edit, but not their painting power entirely now, as KU Splatter doesn't seem to be taking any opportunity on those picks to move forward. We see MP here moving across the grates into mid, does end up going down, unfortunately, as there's 3 down on KU Splatter. They are still in that danger node, so we can see the green begin to spread, and a really solid suction bomb kill as well from Velef here, moving into less than 10 seconds remaining, and with that, it's game over.
And it looks like we are going to be seeing another tiebreaker to see who gets this turf war set.
A double tiebreaker here, which I'm really excited to be casting for now. We did see that this definitely did work out in the favor of UCL Splatoon as opposed to KU Splatter, and we're going to be seeing KU Splatter being able to counter pick now to try and get a mode, to try and get a map, that will be much more in their favor than that last one was. I'm not entirely sure what it was about Mahi Resort that they just struggled on so much, but to me, part of their issue seems like they failed to capitalize on the picks that they got and failed to utilize moving forward into the middle zone when it was more necessary to.
Yeah, I definitely did see that. They saw it, but they failed to actually try and seize that opportunity. They did it too late.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But no, like you said, it does seem like they kind of too little too lated that whole situation here. Now we're deliberating, my apologies, here on which specific map they can pick for their counter picks now. Taking a look at that map list again, any of these maps are on the table except I think the 2 previous maps that we have played.
Yeah, definitely. If I see Humpback Pump Track, I am going to be really excited to see that, because mid can determine a lot of things, and especially the side parts of Humpback.
Yeah,
no.
no. Right. I definitely can see Humpback being an option here. Humpback Pump Track being like the blaster roller slosher paradise that it is, and with a lot of really interesting angles, I think would be really fun to see. Again, I want to see Wahoo World just because I love Wahoo World and no other reason. Kind of tragic that Wahoo is, well, Wahoo, and
a highly debated topic.
We don't really see it on any other competitive tournament maps for a reason. We're moving into Robo Ramen zones for our tiebreaker, which is very interesting.
Definitely.
I feel like it's a good tiebreaker map to be playing on, especially with how we saw these 2 teams play in their previous 2 maps. I feel like KU Spatter has a really good shot at this.
And depending on what comp they choose this time, they can definitely utilize the under passageway.
Oh, did I say zones? I'm so sorry. I meant turf war. Okay, if you think about it, right? If you think about it, Splat Zones is just a smaller turf war on a timer. So I mean, technically speaking, I'm not wrong, but I am wrong. It is not splat zones. I'm just so used to seeing like Robo Ramen on splat zones. I forget that it's like a map outside of splat zones because of how like often I see it just doing its due diligence and being like the like splat zones map of all time. I say that, but I actually prefer Mahi zones over it, so
Yeah, definitely. You do definitely see like some maps on different things more common than others. Like you said, Robo Ramen and Mahi being on splat zones commonly.
I mean, do you want to play a tower control Mahi like match? Because I don't think so. I would prefer not to, actually. As much as I love Mahi
I have
as
played
a
it
map,
before.
it's a little rough on tower, especially in a competitive setting where you have to keep track of so many different things all at once. It's like, do I want to be rolling off this tower straight into the water right now, or do I want to be, like, somewhere else?
Yeah, that definitely is. And it looks like they are keeping kind of similar comps, but it looks like they... Why did I just forget it? You see... Hey, you Spatter just switching out to the NZAP 89. So they have chumps.
They have chumps, and also the custom Squelchies have been swapped to the vanilla Squelchies here, as we are foregoing that double cooler comp from UCL here. We're gonna be moving forward. Chunky going underneath that underpass area to maybe try and get some paint down there, and looking like they're gonna try and sneak up on that right side with Johnny on that Sea Blaster for UCL Splatoon. We do see that the Dually Squelchers have that Wavebreaker active and in mid as we begin the painting like nobody's business.
Definitely with UCL popping out the and ends up with chumps. Chumps can prove to be a good distraction if you play them correctly.
Yeah, and
if you have them distracted, that you can sneak up on them while they're trying to get rid of the chumps.
yeah, I 100% agree, and I feel like chumps are a modicum more useful on Turf Wars than they are on really any other zone, because, oh, we've got double wave breakers, and it seems like the purple wave breaker has overtaken the yellow wave breaker, which was very interesting to see here. Now, we are going to be seeing UCL Splatoon in that elbow area. It does get a really solid pick as Johnny does end up activating Flow Aura before going down, which means that Benny Boy here moving forward into that elbow area has the advantage. Chicken coming their way, but they do end up staying alive after all of that. But KU Spatter is still in that danger zone. They've really got to get moving forward and inking as fast as they can if they want to keep it.
Definitely. And it looks like they bought out their wave breaker, and it looks like Chunky is looking forward to get paint and maybe also to try and get a pick.
Yeah, they do have a really solid hold on that elbow area now, but 30 seconds left on the match and 2 down on KU Spatter, 3 down on KU Spatter, and a wipeout on KU Spatter as UCL just kind of goes for a victory round here, getting as much paint as humanly possible down on the ink before they are outgunned by KU Spatter, but it's too little too late. KU Spatter does end up going 3 down yet again, and with some stray yellow ink blots in mid, it's really not looking good as UCL Splatoon, I believe, is the clear winner of this turf war. Oh my goodness, that is a lot of purple.
Yeah, definitely. What I feel like okay was definitely like when they got stuck in the elbow. Getting stuck in the elbow kind of messed it up, and their flow kind of got thrown off, which led to that wipeout. and that loss.
Yeah, I definitely have to point it towards that elbow moment as well. Just really unfortunate that it happened to be like that, but you really can't do much of anything when you're in that situation except for push forward and try your best to get yourself unstuck. Because with the way that Robo Ramen is, there is several other ways to get unstuck from elbow. The only issue is that you probably have the opposing team waiting for you in those moments to catch you off guard, which is exactly, I feel like, what happened to KU Spatter in that moment. But KU Spatter has a chance at redemption now. They are going to be counterpicking this next map going forward because UCL Splatoon has won this first best of 3 within a best of 5 round. It's like a best of 7, kinda.
Yeah. And depending on what map they pick, they have quite a bit of options. Like Scourge, Museum, Inkblot, Umami, Barnacle, and Crableg.
I'm really hoping we get to see some crab leg clams action just because of the way that the map is shaped. I feel like makes for a lot of interesting gameplay from a commentator's perspective to watch, but also I feel like Scorch Gorge is another like real hit of a Clam Blitz map just because of the absolute volatility that it carries around that basket area and being I think the only Scorch Gorge map besides like obviously splat zones to have the objective or the goal be so far forward. Because if you've played like Scorch Tower or Scorch Rainmaker, you know that it is such a pain to get to the goal because you're basically treading through enemy territory at that point.
Definitely. And you can kind of also say the same for Crableg, Rainmaker, depending on, especially with the two little pathways it gives you. Because you have risky and the safe route.
It's crab leg clams, baby! Let's go! I love crab leg clams. I'm so excited to see what these teams are going to be bringing for us for crab leg clams. I hope that we maybe see the return of the missiles. Because there is a lot of open space on crab leg that is not covered by grates. It's like 50% grates, 50% open space, but the open space is like decent, I guess. I'm not really sure we're going to be seeing the double cooler comp come out again. I'm really not expecting to see like anything too crazy, but from what we saw the last round, I wouldn't put it past like anything to happen because we saw the nozzle nose the last round.
Yeah. Definitely the comps can change now that UCL and, well, KU has seen what UCL and put out during their Turf War matches.
Yeah, I hope we get to see, like, a crab on crab leg, because I feel like just despite, like, them both sharing a name, Crab Tank is really good to pop down on that mid, high grates on crab leg, especially if you've got, like, a more objective-based play style, like, on, Clam Blitz or on, like, Rainmaker 2, it's also really good to just take up space and clear the path ahead from the rest of your team. So let's take a look here. Oh, they're bringing the gold knot! That's my main, baby! shout out nothing. You've got my whole heart for bringing in my main weapon into this match. I'm literally stoked. And there is also the crab that I mentioned earlier coming from KU Splatter. KU Splatter's got a really nice setup. There's actually a crab on both sides, mind you. Both of these teams have decided to bring in that crab tank special to try and gather space on this crablet match.
Definitely, they do have some really good weapon picks here and these comps would be able to work out on this map. And here comes that splashdown trying to look for a pick, but can't quite get one.
Yeah, we do see that the I believe that Luna is going to be just absolutely tossing those little fizzy bombs like nobody's business towards that mid area. We do see Johnny here on that left side ledge trying to get any sort of picks that they can, and it's just kind of a stalemate here, but KU Spatter does have control of most of the clams. We do see a really nice trade-off there, doing exactly what that weapon wasn't intended to do, to get that to get the trade and then go down and take the other person down with them with that triple splashdown. Now we do see it's kind of a bloodbath in that little right side nook area as KU Spatter does end up going 3 down. We're gonna start and try to move forward towards that basket area.
Yeah, and you definitely do see, and there goes that power clam in for UCL, scoring 20 points. As the rest try to scramble to find clams to crunch down the timer. And ooh, that wipeout from Chunky.
A wipeout from Chunky as the last one remaining is super solid here, but it's looking like their push is going to end up going down now. Chunky underneath that ledge, looking like they're gonna maybe try and get something out of KU Spatter here, collecting those clams, moving forward into mid, just being the really midline backliner that you expect to see from that heavy edit. Now we do have Sippy's active. UCL Splatoon does end up having a power clam in their possession, but with Johnny kind of not Johnny, I believe that was Velef. With Velef, they're just almost, I don't want to say wasting those triple ink strikes, but there's definitely, I feel like, a better place you could have used those triple ink strikes to benefit your team more. But a tough situation's a tough situation no matter where you put it. And with 2 power clams diving their way into that clam basket, it is 4,400 now.
Yeah, definitely strike placements can also prove to be slightly crucial. Like you said, how Velef didn't really place them that good. And it looks like the UCL is getting pushed out with a 1,400 now lead that they set up.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough lead to beat for KU Spatter as we are moving into the last minute of the match now. TBD Ninja just tossing those fizzy bombs like a vending machine almost, just throwing the sodas. I'm not really sure what they're doing here, but it does seem like they're kind of hoarding those clams to try and get a really solid couple of power clams off of the spare clams in mid now. We do see that Goldknot go in with nothing, trying to maybe get some sort of pick, I feel like. Not really able to do much before going down. Now 2 down on UCL Splatoon, but KU Spatter does not have the manpower nor the clam power to back it up.
Definitely. Like, kind of how you saw it. They were kind of trying to go for a pick, but I don't think they were kind of close enough to try and get it. It looks like KU does get their power clam in, getting 2 and getting a wiped out. Ooh.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do end up losing those, losing that push to UCL Splatoon as they are going in now. We do see that those power clams are being built and ready. We're going into overtime, but it's really looking rough. KU Spatter's got to have a miracle in their back pocket if they want to be able to win this, because right now UCL Splatoon is all about holding those specials down to make sure that the rest of their team does not get in. And unfortunately, that stamp is too little too late. There was not a power clam nearby in order to open that basket, which means that UCL Splatoon is going to be taking this game in their favor.
Definitely. That wipeout did kind of... Their push was kind of short-lived, kind of also due to that wipeout, which is another thing for, like, to me, kind of being clumped up near the basket can prove to be a little bit of a fatal mistake, as it is kind of easy to... because it can easily serve as a wipeout for the opposing team, which is why often you kind of have to try and not stay too clumped to the basket. You kind of like want to have at least 2 people in the front and have 2 others stay back, kind of, or some stay in the mid, kind of just so it's a little bit balanced, so you're not running around in a cluttered area trying to find clams and or trying to find picks.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. Like, I feel like they had the right idea in that last possible second for the push, but it just ended up being not it just really didn't end out like working in their favor, because their power clam holder was so far away from the rest of the team. They didn't have a chance to capitalize on that last second power clam that they had move alongside the stamp now. And we're going to be seeing KU Spatter's counter pick here in just a second now on tower control. Now, let's refresh ourselves on what possible tower control maps these guys can possibly pick from here. We have Hagglefish Market, Undertow Spillway, Inkblot Art Academy, Mako Mart, Manta Maria, and Shipshape Cargo Co. here for these tower control maps. Now, I would really love to see Manta Maria, as difficult of a map it is, because it will force these 2 teams to just get it together and get it underneath their control. Now, we are going to be going to Mako Mart Tower, which is an interesting pick.
Definitely, like you said, with Manta, it can be a little bit more of like the challenging tower control maps, also because you have to consider some maps do have different tower heights, and with Manta it holds one of the more shorter towers, so it's like you can really only do so much.
Yeah, at least we don't have any ridiculously tall tower maps that are in competitive play. You know the one I'm talking about. But Mako Mart's definitely nothing to sniff at here. While it's not one of the most like bad, like difficult tower control maps to do, I'm really expecting to see these 2 teams just make a break for it and fight in that freezer area, especially considering the absolute volatility of some of these specials that we have here. I'm expecting to see a lot of the bubble usage. I'm expecting to see a lot of maybe if they bring back that triple splashdown to ensure that the stacks are completely sane. But a lot of the time I feel like Inkblot Art Academy, the goal of Mako Mart is to keep control of the stacks first and foremost, and to move the objective line alongside your teammate. Now, Mako Mart is a bit more difficult because mainly of the fact that it has such an easy to jump onto tower and objective line, especially if you're around that freezer checkpoint, but we'll see what these 2 teams have to bring us, and I'm actually really excited to see if we're going to be seeing my baby girl, the Gold Nautilus, back.
Yeah, definitely Mako Mart can have to some. You can have a really good like play on it depending on what comps you do, but you can also still have room for errors in it too. And it looks
Hmm.
like comps will kind of remain the same as UCL does switch out the Nautilus for the heavy splatling.
Yeah, really
But
interesting pick. Switching out that gold Nautilus for the heavy splatling. I would have thought they would have stayed with the gold Nautilus for the suction bombs, but I guess I was proven wrong. Now 3 down on um on that team, unfortunately, as we see the splatting boys in blue, UCL Splatoon move forward and easily take that first checkpoint under their control.
mm-hmm. And UCL has a really heavy push on them, forcing them to hide in that base, and Johnny getting so many picks off of them and the aura gaining. It looks like they do lose tower, but Belef is gonna get on, but unfortunately gets picked off, and KU takes the tower from them. Or
Yeah,
just letting it go back to center.
Yeah, the tower is now in neutral play. Now UCL Splatoon is in the lead with 56 ticks remaining until they are able to get a knockout. Now we do see a really solid double coming in with the stamp while UCL Splatoon has their Sippies active. KU Spatter is going to be on that tower, and we see exactly what that heavy from nothing is going to be doing with that wave breaker, and that is the wave breaker on a tower strat. Now 2 down on KU Spatter means that they have to retreat back into their base area lest they get picked off and wiped out, but 77-56 first check is not quite broken yet, but that is a-okay.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, UCL is having a heavy push on KU, but KU is definitely fighting back, and those ink strikes do go get canceled, but it did look like the pick did get kind of neutralized. And here comes that stamp trying to look for a pick. I think ultimately failed though. And M is just going heavy on those dualies.
Yeah, no, just kind of going absolutely, like, nuts, considering the fact that those dualies are, nothing, they're the vanilla dualies, and while they are nothing to sniff at, it's just nothing, like, particularly special, per se, here. With, like, the crab on tower, it would be nice, but I feel like Mako Mart is such an enclosed space that it's not really worth it to pop a crab on tower in the end. Now 2 down on KU Spatter as UCL Splatoon is going to be just kind of holding that tower in mid, and whoa, what a stamp kill!
Definitely what a stamp kill. And it does look like KU does take back the tower control. Well, I just set the map. Well, the mode, but okay. And they are taking down points. Almost seeming like they're trying to get the lead, but here comes Johnny trying to look for a pick, ultimately getting nothing, and KU does take the lead, and nothing does get aura gain. And just riding on the tower.
Yeah, KU is doing a really good job now. They do end up moving all the way towards that third checkpoint, unable to break it, unfortunately. But that is a really solid lead differential. That is that is exactly 40 points of lead differential between these two teams. Now, UCL Splatoon on the back foot in that last minute remaining of the match are going to be wanting to get anything sort of underneath their control now. As we move forward, we are going to be seeing some pretty solid picks on either side.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and those fizzy bomb picks were really good, and here comes that splashdown trying to look for a pick and crab tank. And here comes UCL's crab tank looking for picks. Seemingly like they did get one, but ultimately would only have that one little pick, and now it looks like they're just tower riding at this point, trying to hope to at least get some points down and hopefully take back what lead they lost. But it ultimately seems like they might not in this short time frame. Ooh, that wipeout!
Ooh. That wipeout was basically just KU Spatter being like, alright, I am done with this. I am ready to be done with this. Let's at least get, like, a game off of these guys before we have to go forward and fight our round 3 components. And what a really solid, point that was here. We are going to be seeing a game 4. We're going to be moving forward into our zones with UCL Splatoon counterpicking here. But honestly, really incredible stuff from KU Spatter being able to just take that tower in such a short amount of time and push it as far forward as they did, going from basically nothing to 16 remaining till KO.
And definitely that last minute wipeout was kind of what sealed KU's win for that map. Well, that mode. I don't know.
Yeah, we do see that last minute wipeout, but I feel like it was just kind of unnecessary at that point because the jump in from that blaster was sure to just end up not in a good situation. Now, our potential splat zones picks, we have Hagglefish Market, Mahi Mahi Resort, Mako Mart again, Umami Ruins, Barnacle and Diamond, Robo Ramen. So we are gonna be going into Umami splat zones.
Oh my gosh, I got so excited. I don't know, something about Umami and its double zones, it always makes me excited to see it in, like, competitive.
Fair enough.
Because considering those double zones, you can also want to split off the team into, like, kind of 2 groups to see who, and have one control one zone each.
Yeah, I can definitely see where much of the hype from the Split Zones map comes from, especially considering that Umami is, like, one of the better Split Zones maps, if not the best, which is why it is mainly used in competitive situations so often. Because, like, I can't really think of, like, another split zone that is used as often as Umami is, or if any of them are used at all, considering the fact that we don't really have that many split zones maps in the game currently. But I feel like a lot of the level placement of obstacles and architecture within the zone area is quite good to be, like, a challenge for the weapons who do, like, less paint. Like, it's like a bucket's paradise, sure, but, like, what about your chargers? And it's like, oh, but my charger can sit on dome and camp from there.
And it looks like the comps kind of change with KU bringing out Dapple Dualies for Leaf Slider and the NZAP for a cooler.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that Veleth has switched to the Splash-O-Matic Vanilla, bringing forward with that crab tank, which I imagine is going to be popped on top of that dome anytime now here. So we can see that KU Spatter has just been absolutely massacring the rest of UCL Splatoon. Going forward, MP popping that crab onto that zone, trying to get some paint coverage here as KU Spatter retakes the zone in that orange ink. Does end up holding it a pretty solid amount now. We do see the Reef Slider come out. They manage to neutralize the zone as KU Spatter does end up going 2 down, and UCL regains control of the zone, giving KU a 20-tick penalty.
Definitely am just going for pick after pick. Those rolls are proving to give them a little bit of wiggle room, and it looks like UCL will take the lead, and KU is just putting it in neutral, but UCL does take it back for a short little bit, and they prove to take it back again.
Yeah,
Just taking it away.
Don't let the support play style of the Reef Slider Dapple Doolies fool you. They can absolutely be a deadly weapon if you know how to use them right, like we just saw against KU Spatter's Crab Tank here. Nothing is going to be throwing out that Wave Breaker, looking to maybe try and get some of the members of UCL Splatoon marked. Now, a torpedo from behind does end up spelling the death of that crab, and UCL goes 3 down in the moment now as KU takes a really solid control of that zone, moving forward to start throwing those suction bombs like nobody's business. I bet TBD Ninja would love to play a junior with how much bomb spam they're doing.
They would, and it looks, and KU taking back the lead that they had just lost moments ago, and they are proving to be really fatal with this pushback that they are showing against UCL, getting a delayed kind of wipeout as they had just 3 down, and it looks like this might prove to be their KO match on
KU Spatter. KU Spatter, more like KO Spatter. That was an incredible match. They're tying up the game and going to push us to a game 5 now here on our round 2 of week 3. Just a really solid showing overall from this team. They really were strutting their stuff the entire time there, and it makes you wonder, was this really UCL Splatoon's counterpick, or did they accidentally counterpick something that KU Spatter was really good at? Because it just kind of seemed like it was a little rough there.
Definitely. And seeing now that this is a really now just a tiebreaker, ultimately to see which team wins, tiebreakers like these can prove to be kind of like a little bit of like kind of making them both feel under pressure, because like now it's ultimately deciding this last game kind of seals who actually wins, and that pressure can prove to be a little bit like much. Sometimes you will see slip-ups start to happen due to the pressure.
Yeah, super duper solid like games from all of these teams thus far as we're moving into our Rainmaker tiebreaker. Now let's take a look at what we can see for our Rainmaker map, because it is going to be UCL Splatoon's counterpick yet again here. We have an option between Scorch Gorge, Undertow Spillway, Museum di Alfonzino, Manta Maria, Humpback Pump Track, or Crab Leg Capital for our Rainmaker matches. Now, if I were UCL Splatoon, I would probably be picking either Undertow or Manta. You can get a lot of points really quickly in either of these two matches, and I feel like their playstyle really fits for more of those explosive fast point gains as opposed to KU Spatter, who seems like they are all about the slow and steady approach to this thing. And we are going to be thrown for a loop, actually, because we're going to Scorch Gorge, baby!
Yeah, Scourge is definitely kind of like, it's like crab leg. It's also, it's one like a risk, like the risks you have to consider with pushing in with the checkpoints, considering they're in really heavy enemy territory.
Really heavy enemy territory is one way to put the goal being at enemy spawn, basically, in Scorch Gorge. But, like, yeah, you don't really see a lot of knockouts on this map, and for good reason. It is quite the difficult map to get a knockout in, about as difficult as Manta Maria, dare I say. But you can, if you're quick enough, if you've got a right combination of team members, picks, and buffs, you can just kind of sink it in as close to the podium as humanly possible and get it really, really deep in there. It's all just a matter of, like I said, those explosive pushes with really good backup. So I feel like UCL might have an ace up their sleeve here.
Yeah. And depending on what comps they pick, or if they even do decide to change, you can have some really good plays on this. And who knows, maybe they could get a knockout, depending on how they play.
If we see a knockout, I'm going to be just kind of, like, incredibly impressed because, again, this map is such a pain in the butt to get a knockout in on Rainmaker. It's insane. Like, I just imagine, like, a lot of pushing power is going to be needed to try and even go for a KO, and it's looking like we're gonna be staying with mostly the same? Is that... Huh. They're gonna be popping out the double cooler comp from KU Spatter, which I'm kind of intrigued about.
Definitely. I feel like, then again, it could also, depending on how they play this double cooler, it can kind of prove to actually maybe work out in their favor, as you see MP jumping out kind of in a tight situation, and Rainmaker is popped, but no one is quite grabbing it yet, as it's just kind of going for after picks, and KU does pick up the Rainmaker, trying to go for at least one of the checkpoints. Ultimately changing positions, but it looks like they do not get it. Just 1 point away from getting it, and UCL pops the shield, but they might just kind of push it for a reset.
Yeah, it seems like KU Spatter was trying to juke out UCL from the Rainmaker, going across the grates first before suddenly dropping down and heading towards that right checkpoint, which is a really neat strategy to see being played on this map. We see that crab come out, looking like they're maybe going to try and get some sort of picks. I'm not entirely sure where that triple splashdown was going on the side of UCL Splatoon. We do see the dually off here on that left side, just a fight between two dualies, and it's looking like UCL Splatoon's vanilla dualies are going to be the ones to win it here. Now, nothing going onto that ramp, just really sitting there as we see Velef moving forward with that stamp, does end up getting a pick, but goes down. It is 2 down on UCL Splatoon now, as KU Spatter looks like they're gonna maybe try and hold it and move that Rainmaker to that check.
Yeah, definitely. With that juke, it did prove to kind of mess up UCL a little bit, throwing them off, thinking that they were just gonna stay on the grate until they just did that little jump down, and it looks like UCL would pop it again, but force it yet again into another reset.
Yeah, and neither of these teams have really made much progress, as is usual for Scorch Gorge Rainmaker, but UCL Splatoon is going to be moving forward towards that checkpoint, does end up losing it, unfortunately. That zap really proving to be a deadly adversary here. We do end up seeing that Rainmaker shield getting a pick on the side of KU Spatter. Now, KU Spatter does end up going 3 down. We see the Rainmaker shield being popped yet again, and it is a wipeout, which means that it is easy going for UCL Splatoon to grab the Rainmaker, get to the checkpoint, and wait their next move. move.
Oh, the wipeout again. Both teams now having a wipeout on each other on their belt. And it looks like they will kind of push. And it looks like they are just kind of shooting the Rainmaker to try and distract and push back UCL as PDB Ninja kind of just shoots around. Looking like maybe just to give the others a little bit of a vantage point to try and push back. And here comes that grab tank trying to shoot down Ninja, but ultimately failing. They get into a trade fight with MP.
Ooh, really solid Rainmaker pick there. But unfortunately, it seems like that Rainmaker's in a really bad spot. UCL Splatoon is going to have to grab it and go because there is less than 1 minute left on the clock and a 1-point lead differential with both of these teams just barely popping the checkpoints. Now, UCL Splatoon, like I said, this is a really bad spot for the Rainmaker to be in. They do have a little bit of the advantage just by virtue of it being on their side, but popping it and letting it reset was probably the best way to go. Now, 2 down on UCL as KU moves forward, looking like they're gonna maybe try and get something going here. MP going for the kill, does not end up going for it. Johnny here is going to be the one victorious in that match as they move forward. Does end up getting a really nice pick. They are gonna grab the Rainmaker and potentially push it forward past the points they need to win.
And it looks like they might just be able to do it as MP does go down, or this could look like to be nothing caught them down, as this might be the end as KU. Ooh, that double!
Ooh! I believe that game does end up going to KU. KU Spatter with a 1-point lead differential on Scorch Gorge Rainmaker takes it back from UCL Splatoon, winning their round 2 group, winning their round 2 stage for groups week 3 with an incredible 1-point lead. But again, as per usual when it comes to Scorch Gorge, just by virtue of being the first one to pop that checkpoint, they managed to take home the victory against UCL after being juked for the first couple of matches against them.
KU did definitely show really how they could take back the games, as they shown, like, despite losing Turf War and Flamblet, they did pick back 2 games and pushing it into a ultimate tiebreaker that they won.
Really incredible matches from both of these teams now. But as we are waiting for our group week round 3 to start, I do want to bring it over to a break now so we both can get a drink of water, both get some food in us, and await our really volatile round 3. Hello, everybody. Welcome back again to NSE Summer League 2026, your premier UK Collegiate Splatoon tournament stream. Is happening right now. We are about to go into our round 3 of this specific week of group stage. We are going to be seeing the Cardinals yet again from a couple of sets prior versus Anarchists, which I am quite excited about, starting off with our best of 3 turf war as per usual with Robo Ramen.
Definitely seeing the Cardinals and Anarchists, two really push heavy teams, go against each other is gonna be really fun to see.
Absolutely. I'm here. I'm ready for the hype. Because, like, Anarchists, we know them, we love them. Solid Cardinals, we saw them in the first matchup that we had. Both of them really exciting, really explosive teams. I'm excited to see what they're going to be bringing to the table for us, if we're going to be staying with the same comps that we have been staying with. Sort of just kind of testing the waters around each other for these first 3 games on Turf War, which is what we have been seeing these past couple of matches.
And it looks like... Did they pull out Dynamo? They both.
That's a double Dynamo. Holy moly, what are these guys cooking? They've got 2 Dynamos, one on either side now. We see Rhythm pulling out the Brella, Nebula on that Reflux. We see the Dynamo Rollers also being supported by the Bucket and the Dapple Doolies on the side of Cardinals. And Anarchists going in hard and fast now as we see the map start to paint up with that lime green.
Definitely. I am still kind of a little bit flabbergasted by the double Dynamo, because that was something I was not expecting to quite see. But it is still good to see different types of rollers coming out, as we have really only seen vanilla roller come out.
Yeah, V-Roller and Carbon are the ones that I mainly see a whole lot of in competitive play, but now in more often than not, I'm starting to see more and more Dynamo Rollers coming out to the table as well. We can see the map is pretty much evenly covered here, but I feel like Cardinals is getting a little ahead now in painting that area pink. Rhythm does looking like they're gonna maybe go down here in that pit area, as we can see the rest of the Cardinals moving in towards that elbow area, maybe gonna try and get something going here.
Yeah, those strikes coming out from Spookster. Also, and here comes that killer whale that can't kind of push them back and also put them in compromising positions. And Spookster is looking for some picks in that elbow section. And they do now have Sippies, so they have a little bit of faster movement now.
A little bit of faster movement plus an instant respawn. 1 minute left now on the timer, as we are going to look like neither of these teams really showing us who has been dominating this turf here on Turf War, where they're going in with that reef slider to that elbow, does end up going down. Now 1 down on either side. We can see those triple ink strikes coming out, getting some paint behind the enemy lines, which is exactly what you want to be doing when you're playing this sort of game. Now Mesmerizer on that Dynamo Roller, looking like they're maybe going to try and get some picks over on that elbow. Not really sure how that's going to end up working out. We see Tammy going to jump out, doesn't end up getting splatted by Spookster, which is unfortunate here. And now Spookster has like the entire elbow to paint just by themselves.
Yeah, that jump did kind of compromise a little, because if you don't realize your teammate is dead as you're like jumping to them, kind of trying to backtrack a little, it can prove to be a little bit fatal, and I think Anarchist might have taken this game, and it looks like, yes, they did. It was really
Anarchists
close,
do.
too.
Yeah, incredibly close for both of these teams, but I was really expecting it to be close just because there are they are like pretty evenly matched on equal footing teams. Now we're gonna see what exactly the Solent Cardinals are going to be giving to us for their counter pick here in a second, though. But just as a reminder, here are all of the maps that they can counter pick besides Robo Ramen. Marlin, Shipshape, Humpback, Wahoo, and Mahi Mahi are our picks for our Turf War counter picks, but I'm thinking they might try to stick with what they know here. Just something easy, something simple, and I am correct in thinking that because we are going to be going back to the resort. Mahi Mahi Resort Turf Wars is going to be our counter pick for Solent Cardinals.
Definitely. Mahi, from what I've seen, especially from Anarchist, I have seen them play Mahi on Turf War from week 1. They are really push heavy on Mahi, and they can even get into the base really early if they have the right momentum to do so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely can see them just being the type to push in as early as they typically do here on this match. The only question I have is, how is Solent Cardinals going to keep them out of their base and ensure that they aren't like in there causing havoc, causing issues like they typically do? I feel like as they continue to play against the Anarchists, they are going to need an answer more and more to their playstyle and how they can easily just overwhelm the competition, you know?
Definitely. And maybe they might switch up comps, or they could keep the same. Who knows? And it looks like they brought out some fairly different comps that you see. The Gal, Reflux, 10th Umbrella, and they have relative, and it looks like Cardinals kind of kept relatively the same comp.
I do want to point out the swap to Inkline Tri-Stringer here on the Cardinals. Those chumps, I feel like, are going to be proved to be rather helpful here in a situation where there is going to be so much ink to place down on those zones where there is currently water. Now, we do see one on Anarchist does end up going down with her here, just camping the ledge, trying to make sure that that Dynamo does not get into mid, because once that Dynamo is there and parked, it's over. Now, Mesmerizer has to jump back because the rest of the Cardinals have locked onto them. There are Sippies active on either side, and it's just kind of a bloodbath, but it's a bloodbath that's going in the Cardinals' favor.
It is, and especially they're not letting Anarchist get that push that I was kind of talking about. Like, Anarchist is trying to find their momentum, but Cardinals is not letting them just find it. They're overwhelming them constantly, and here come those missiles trying to look for a pick, but just can't quite get it.
No, and it's just looking like they are going to be keeping that paint on the ground now as we are going into the water level drop. It seems like the Anarchists did get a little bit of a danger signal there as they are being pushed like completely back into their base by Star Yoshi on the incline here. And it's looking like we're gonna maybe try and get those whales out sometime soon, but Anarchists have to get into mid and start painting if they want any chance at getting this Turf Wars match under their control. And with Tammy Wamey going out on that 52, the wall is up, and it seems like the counterattack from the Anarchists have started. Less than a minute left on the clock now, and it's already starting to look a lot more orange than it was before.
Yeah, it looks like now that they kind of were able to push back the Cardinals, they are finding that momentum again, and Cardinals is now trying to kind of essentially overwhelmed them like they were just minutes before. It's Teeny Weeny, and I could not see their name, but
And
Letzer is trying to find picks, and it does get. Oh, that was Spookster. They are finding the picks that they need, and it looks like Cardinals is overwhelming Anarchist again.
Maybe not for long, though, because Nebula is coming forward with the paint on that reflux. Less than a couple of seconds left remain on the clock, and it's kind of unclear at this point who ended up winning the turf war. But as we see the paint in that glorious blue, I am pretty sure that they have, in fact, defeated Anarchists this time here. Solent Cardinals does end up getting a 4% difference in paint to win over the Anarchists on Mahi Mahi Resort, which means that the Anarchists are now at a tiebreaker. We're going 3 for 3 with these turf war tiebreakers.
Yes, we are. We might be even able to go 2 for 2 in ranked why can I speak? In ranked tiebreakers.
I'm definitely excited to see what these two teams are going to be bringing to the table, if anything different. I don't expect there to be anything as different as we had seen the last match, because anarchists usually tend to stick to their guns, and the Incline Tri-Stringer from Solent Cardinals was a bit of a sort of out-of-pocket pick, but I feel like it definitely worked for them in their favor, because they were able to really keep the anarchists at a distance in their spawn during this game, and it is going to be Anglefish Market's turf war, which I feel like I have. Oh no, that's Marlin. Oh
Like,
Lord,
wrong
it's
picture.
Marlin.
We're going back to the airport, guys.
We have a connecting flight.
We do.
We have a connecting flight to more of the actual like competitive modes here soon. But the tiebreaker will determine who manages to get the counterpoint, the counter pick for Clam Blitz once those start.
Marlin, I feel like again, Anarchist may be able. I feel like Marlin, for them, they do have really good moments. And Cardinals could also prove to find some good moments too. Or unless maybe they did play Marlin at one point in round 2. I don't necessarily remember if they did.
I believe they did play Marlin Airport in round 1 of this week.
Yeah. And it looks like comps are relatively kind of being kept the same.
I do want to point out the use of Sorella over on the Anarchist side. Rhythm has switched from Vanilla to Sorella for this match here. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what it's going to be different this time now. As we see the Anarchists move forward, immediately Rhythm has that inkjet up and firing into the spawn area of the Cardinals to try and distract them from whatever is going on in that mid area. It does end up going down. Spookster now just trying to get off of that ledge down into mid, but is being held back by Mesmerizer on that Dynamo roller. Now, you really don't see Dynamo more nowadays, but the people who play it well.
Definitely. And especially with just having Anarchists did find, again, their momentum so early. And just pushing back Cardinals. But Cardinals is still putting up a really good fight against them, as the map looks equally orange and purple.
Yeah, there's less than...
Someone did grab Aura. I didn't know who grabbed it though, so...
I did hear that. 90 seconds left on the clock now, and it's looking like the Cardinals might be moving forward into that danger icon now as the map slowly but surely becomes more and more orange. But two do end up going down on the Anarchist, which means that the Cardinals might actually have this bad boy in the bag if they can get as much paint on the ground as the Anarchists are getting. Now, the missiles are going to be going out, which is going to put quite a bit more orange paint onto their side, but Wither looking to maybe try and get something happen in their spawn does end up going down, and now there's a minute left on the clock, and it's really anyone's game at this point, who's who.
And Nebula is just painting like crazy, trying to keep that platform up to avoid Cardinals Dynamo. And Spookster is just going from the sides, hoping to be able to attack and be a distraction.
Yeah, 30 seconds left on the clock, and it's looking like the Cardinals might actually be the ones having this in the bag, because most of the paint, from what we can see, is that beautiful shade of purple, but like we were saying earlier, let's not count our splats, let's not count our splat zones before they cap, you could say. As we can see the Cardinals painting forward alongside the Anarchist 3, 2, and 1, which means that the game is over, and it's looking like it's probably going to be going over to Cardinals.
Yep, with like a 4-point difference. Cardinals does take the Turf War tiebreaker.
Which means that Anarchist is going to be the one to counterpick the mode for our upcoming Clan Blitz game. Now, let's take a look and see these replays and try and pinpoint here what both of these teams did so well in. And we saw the first game, Anarchists managed to take it, while unfortunately going down quite a lot, to the Cardinals in the next two games here, but it's just a matter of the last minute of a match in these Turf War games, and sometimes when you're in the heat of battle, you don't really think as well as you should be, especially if you're such a well-oiled machine of a competitive team like Anarchists and the Cardinals are.
Definitely. Anarchist did have like a really good momentum push in the beginning of Marlin, but I didn't notice before, during the replay, one of their members had actually fallen through the gap of one of the moving platforms.
Oh no. That's a shame. So we are going to be
realize that.
We are going to be moving to Umami Ruins Clan Blitz. So kind of interesting to me, at least, because I feel like Umami is not as much of like a fast-paced Clan Blitz match as I feel like some of the other Clan Blitz modes are. Like it can be, because of course every Clan Blitz mode can be fast-paced, but I feel like Umami just really punishes those who try and go in and hold and hold and hold. Now we do see Nebula is going to be swapping to that Nautilus, while we see a return to the Incline Tri-Stringer for the members of the Cardinals.
And Anarchist, like, noticed they pulled out a Cooler Blaster. They unfortunately go down so fast by the Cardinals' hands. And Anarchist just, getting wiped out by the Cardinals. And Cardinals are just really heavy on the Anarchist right now, collecting clams back and forth, picking it down really bad. And
man,
gosh,
I'm flabbergasted. I just don't know what to say. The clams are just The clams are just being
flabbergasted
thrown
too.
in like nobody's business. Already down to 17 points, but looks like the basket is going to close. But Anarchists, that one is gotta hurt. You end up wiping out not only once, but twice there in the moment now, only to have just the Cardinals swoop in and take everything from you. But now it's the Anarchists' turn to go on the offensive now, and with specials being popped from both sides willy-nilly, it's really not, I'm really not seeing who's got the clear advantage in the fights now, but losing a team fight like that in the first minute of the match has really got to get your morale down. Looking like we're gonna maybe try and get something moving here for the Cardinals, but they've got to step back because they don't have the clam economy nor the people to do so.
Yes, that push from Cardinals, and especially that push, like that wipeout. That wipeout, the second one, just solely coming from only the Dapple dualies.
Oh man.
Ooh,
That must
Wow.
have, that definitely hurt Anarchus. That
was insane. It's not letting them score anything at all and popping 3 wipeouts on them at once.
I feel like it's one of those situations where the Anarchists picked something that they know they're good at, but the Cardinals also were good at this map because just that immediate team fight lose into the Cardinals just pouring the clams into that basket, I feel like really hurt not only the morale, but also the gameplay. We see that triple from Wither going into that wipeout as we just see the clams pile in constantly. You've really got to hate being in this situation, but sometimes it's inevitable now. We do see just Wither again on those Dapple dualies, absolutely prolific in how it happens, and just, you know what, sometimes you're a Dapple dualies that can kill. And honestly, kudos to Wither.
Definitely kudos to Wither, because that just solo wipeout on Anarchist really just proved to be something that they probably weren't expecting.
And we
'Cause you
already
had
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because you already had just that 3 down just from the Reef Slider alone and cornering that one poor alone player from Anarchist and just wiping them out, letting the rest of Cardinals just score points on them.
Yeah, no, and we already have our tower control match. It's going to be Inkblot Art Academy tower control, which the Anarchists once again have counterpicked that to try and bypass the Cardinals. We're already going through it. We don't have enough time to talk about it, but we do see a comp switch. Rhythm gonna be throwing us for a bit of a loop here, choosing to go for the oh gosh, I can't remember the name of that Octobrush for the life of me, but it's the one with chickens and Kraken. While the Cardinals deign to stay on the same comp that they have been running. Now, I'm really interested to see what the Kraken is going to be bringing to the table that maybe some of the other things that Rhythm has been playing were not able to bring. Now, we do see the Cardinals are going to be taking the tower first in the team fight here, as Wither just moving forward with Spookster on the tower in tow, managed to reach checkpoint 1, and it's looking like that tower dance is not going to be enough to get them to go, and woof. That's a rough
Wither
double.
is just going insane. Just picking off, just distracting the enemies while everyone else is just getting on the tower. And here comes that Kraken, like you said. But it looks like it wasn't really able to do anything against them.
Not only was it the Kraken, but the Inkstorm and the triple, not the triple Ink Strikes. I feel like the Whale also came out at the same, or not the Whale, the Cooler. The Cooler came out at the same time, and it was just really 3 specials really was not enough to, like, even take the Cardinals back down a notch, because the Cardinals are still going like nobody's business. We see Temkyun on the Dynamo just really holding down the fort with the Sippies and with just keeping mid painted and the enemies back. We see that they have already broken through that second checkpoint, looking to maybe break through that third, but maybe not, or sorry, they broke through the first checkpoint, looking to break through second, but not able to do so because the anarchists have retaken control of the platform.
And now that the tower is in neutral territory, looks like the Cardinals will grab the tower back, only to lose it. Probably just jumped off of it to avoid getting taken down. And they both have an anarchist having 2 down now. It's just bloodbath after bloodbath.
The Cardinals are also 2 down, but Wither is making sure that that is going to be evened out with a wipeout from that Reef Slider. Wither, the absolute GOAT, just like going insane on those Dapple Dualies now as the Cardinals ride that tower to what they are going to hope to be victory. They're already on that second checkpoint now. We see Wither going up to that Bats, ready to take out Nebula, takes out Nebula, moves in, takes out the 52 as well, and gets right back on the tower, but it's looking like Wither's time and luck might be running out as they are cornered with a delayed wipeout. The Cardinals have already broken second check, just third check stands in their way between them and the goal, but Anarchus now moving that tower back into neutral position are now aware of Wither's schemes.
Someone needs to tell me Wither's KA after this, cause Wither was just going insane, especially how you've seen them play in just the recent Turf War match, not Turf War, recent Clam Blitz match, just taking pick after pick, wipeout after wipeout on the Reef Slider.
I don't think Wither got the memo that Reef Slider was supposed to be a bad special now, and just decided to say, no, actually, it's still a good special, and I am going to show you why. Now, we do see that the Cardinals are in a little bit of a rough situation, but there's less than a minute left on the clock, and anarchists have really got to get this thing going. They do have first checkpoint broken, but the Cardinals are being just really aggro in their defense here, making sure to just push the anarchists back as much as humanly possible. And now it seems like that margin is shrinking slowly but surely, and with the margin shrinking like that, it's really not looking good. They're gonna have to do something about that tower before the anarchists take the lead if they want to defeat the anarchists.
Wither just running people over.
Vehicular manslaughter.
Wither didn't get the MO about Reef Slider being bad.
Ooh, looking like they're gonna maybe try and take that second checkpoint, but it's looking like the GG strikes come in clutch, and the Cardinals take the tower and take the set. Incredible gameplay from both of these two teams now. We see that score. It is loud and clear. The anarchists were unable to get that tower far enough and just really suffering from the mighty blows of Wither. My god, I have never seen a Dapple dually kill like that before.
Wither was in their own world, and they were just... Anarchist was just living in Wither's world.
I want to know what kind of world Wither is living in order to kill as many people as they did on those Dapple dualies, because holy crap. Look at that! You see that wipe? The triple just from like the splash radius of Reef Slider? And didn't they recently nerf the splash radius of Reef Slider too? To prevent like reef cheese on zones, and yet Wither remains steadfast and steady as like the most incredible, like, slaying Dapple dualies I have ever had the pleasure of seeing live on Twitch. What an incredible set from both of these teams, but, like, man, those dualies. I'm sorry, I'm a
Wither-
dualies main. I've gotta glaze my fellow dualies main.
Yes. Wither probably saw the Reef Slider nerf. It was just like, Reef Slider nerf? I'm not gonna listen to this.
John Nintendo can't tell me what to do. Man. Really, really incredible games that we have had here tonight over for our NSE Summer League Week 3, but unfortunately, it's looking like we are gonna have to be getting off for the night now because there are no more games left for us to commentate. Funny how that works. The tournament is done and we have to shut up and go do something else. I personally am going to make myself a cup of throat coat tea and recover because I've got work tomorrow and I may or may not have completely blown my voice doing this. So if you guys want to follow me on Blue Sky, you can see my Blue Sky was just right below. It's carnivide.bsky.social. You can find me over mainly on IPL and also for Splatoon tourneys Ludi tonight whenever it does run. But keep an eye out for me for your local New England lands. I do end up doing a lot of commentary for those. Not quite a lot of commentary for Dapples, but it's such a pleasure to be back on the mic for Dapples. Shout out to Dapples. Where can we find you?
I am like you mostly. You can catch me around on Blue Sky. I do have to update it for Dapples though because it does have my X account on there, which I do not use anymore. But definitely, you can find me sprinkled around Dapple when I am available. And you can sometimes catch me on in-person lands. I am mostly around New York lands, as they are more local to me.
I
will
see.
sometimes
You're a big
commentate.
Dapple. You're a big Dapple goer.
Sometimes Gridlock. Sometimes Gridlock.
Sometimes Gridlock.
You can, yeah, if I'm available for it, you can catch me around, commentating, playing.
Awesome. Well, with that,
Sometimes doing both.
Yeah, fair enough. I do want to give one last shout out to everybody who was able to make this tournament happen, and especially shout out to Jorian, our streamer. Literally one of the pillars of the streaming tournament community. Without you, we would crumble. Shout out to Jorian. But with that, thank you guys so much for joining us for week 3 of NSE Summer League 2026. I will be signing off now. See you next time.